Hello and welcome. This is Oshi, and this is going to be a very very late reply to a tag that Nancy Paper Moon Tarot started. I think a few months ago now. It's called Tarot at the Movies, and it's pretty much just connecting movies to tarot decks that you have in your collection. And I didn't add to the categories, but I omitted one, the last one, the foreign movie, because pretty much all my decks are foreign. I only have one Hungarian deck, which would be native to me, but all my decks are, from the US or the UK, so they all foreign. So that would be just, too much as a choice as well. So I left that out, but that would be the seventh category. So the first one is a romantic comedy, and I don't really watch romantic comedies. I mean, not the usual types these days, but I think Zombieland fits that this category because I mean it's funny. I mean, Zombieland is one of the most funnier movies, and there is romance in it quite a lot. So I chose that as a movie, and what else could I choose than the zombie tarot? So I think it has that comedic effect to it that people might look for in a funny deck, but obviously it's more than that. So, and there's some romance I think in it as well. I mean, I don't know which one. There's just that romanticized version, I would say, of the past in it. But yeah, I think so. I think that fits the category. The second one was horror. I don't watch horror movies because I like to sleep. I watch thrillers because, psychopaths and FBI agents running around after them. That doesn't keep me up at night, but horror movies do. So, but I don't have any decks that would have that really intricate mouse and cat game, in the deck. So if you have a suggestion for a thriller based deck, please do let me know. Because that's not scary, that's more like the mindfuckery kind of way. So I stuck with the horror genre, and the movie is one of the ones that I watched way back then, and is Scream. Because those were around the time were the last time that I actually enjoyed horror movies. The last one that I watched was one of the Resident Evil's movies, and I couldn't sleep for a whole night. So I just finished with those. But Scream, I would say, was a horror that I still enjoyed. And the deck that I chose is not a tarot deck because I don't have horror themed tarot decks, but I chose the Dark Mirror Oracle because it kind of still gives that creepy vibe to it. I mean, at least, it's not scary, but still, for some people especially, it can be, I think, a deck that fits into the horror um, genre or whatever. It's my choice for the horror deck. Okay, so next one is animated movie. I don't really watch a lot of animated movies. I mean, I watch them when my sister recommends them, and or if they have dragons in it. So I watched Wish Dragon. That was, I think, the most recent animated movie that I watched and loved. That's an adorable movie, and the deck that I chose for it was the Field Guide to Garden Dragons, because these dragons are just cute. And I was thinking about the Star Dragon Oracle, but nope. And I don't have a dragon, tarot, but I will have soon. I mean, as soon as Smoke, Ash, and Amber, right? That's the name. I mean, I'm trying to learn it before I got the deck. For some reason, I have a hard time learning. I had a hard time learning Oak, Ash, and Thorn as well. I just don't know why. But these dragons, I think they fit the movie as well really nicely. So Okay, we have Field Guide, and that was animated. The next one is action. I watch a lot of action movies. That's one of my favorite type of movie to watch. You know, there's just it relaxes me when I watch things blow up and guys chase after others in cars and stuff like that. I just enjoy that. And I wasn't really, trying to find a favorite because there's just so many. So I went with something that I rewatched recently, the Red series, Red 1 and 2. I rewatched them quite a lot, and I rewatched, I think, Red 2 recently. So I'm gonna rewatch Red 1 soon with Bruce Willis. I mean, if you like those a bit old fashioned but in a good way type of action movies, and you haven't watched that, I highly recommend. But the description for this one is some a deck that doesn't pull a punch, and if I'm understanding that notion correctly, because you know English is not my first language, that means that doesn't hold back, right? So I mean that makes sense with the action movie, and I went with the Lyseer Tarot because even though this is a look at the High Priestess, I would still need to make my video on the High Priestess as well, but not now. So even though this deck is Hello King of Wands, soft in a way, I mean, it's colorful and it's lovely, but it's gonna tell you what's up like really easily and nicely, but it's gonna tell you what what you need to know and why you need to know it. So even though most of my decks are in this category, I mean cute fit, because I don't use decks that would, I don't think I use decks in a way that they would lie to me, so to speak, that the message wouldn't come through. But yeah, the Light Series was one of the, definitely the one that will tell you what's up and you need to know. Okay, and the next one is Sci-Fi. Also very disappointing for me because I don't have that type of deck that I imagine as a future. How I imagine the future, in the, not the dystopian but a utopian way, because dystopian, hell yeah. I mean, there are decks and I'm going to get a few, but I'm trying to be optimistic about the future, because we're either gonna just blow up the planet or we learn to live with it and integrate nature back into our lives and combine it with science and tech, and that's just gonna be awesome. And I might need to just create a deck at some point in my life if no one else does it. But so there's no perfect deck for this category as well. As usual, please leave recommendations. The movie that I picked also just one of the recent ones that I watched, because there's just so many, and I hate picking favorites in an area or in a genre that I love. So I went with the Rest in Peace the department. No, that was for fantasy. Sorry, I went with Star Trek. That's what. Even though I tried to space it out, I just skipped the line. So I went with Star Trek because I rewatched the movies with Chris Pine as Kirk recently twice within a week. I don't really like the second one. I didn't rewatch that for the second time. I just watched the first and third one. But because even though I know exactly what happens, it just still, I love Star Trek. That's my kind of science-y movie. And the only deck that I have currently, and I don't even use it yet because this is going to be part of my winter collection, is the Steampunk Tarot. So yeah, that's my hello High Priestess again. That's my choice for the Sci-Fi one, but I need a better one. I don't want to buy the Tarot bot new, but I'm kind of hoping someone would sell it and I could get it, because that's a really cool deck, even though I really dislike the ways the creator looks at certain things. But anyway, and the last one is fantasy. Also, I'm not going to get into movies because I just watch so many movies. I watch a lot, and I'm not gonna go with Lord of the Rings, even though that's high up on the list, because that's the only movie so far, I think. Yeah, that where I read the book, I imagined it in a way, and then Peter Jackson came and he made it into what I was imagining. So there's, I think, 99% connection between what I had in my head and what he envisioned as a movie. And I know a lot of people don't like a lot of things about it. Um, it's the same with Hobbit. I just love the scenery and more in that. But with Lord of the Rings, oh, just yeah, I just love the movie. But I don't have a Lord of the Rings deck, and I have quite a few um, fantasy sort of movie, but I didn't went with that sort of fantasy. I went with the last movie that I rewatched because I was an Ryan Reynolds kick, and it's the Rest in Peace Department, which is fantasy, or supernatural. I would put that in fantasy as a subcategory. Don't know how these things are classed. I don't really care. And for that, um, and I don't know, that was quite a long time ago, the first one, so I don't think they're gonna make a second movie, which sucks because I think that was a good one and I would love to watch a second one. But for that one I chose the Supernatural Tarot, which is kind of a disappointment, with these pippish cards, but still, look at that Bowie as a hermit. And I think it just um, fits this movie quite well because hunting monsters is pretty much, or that be bad dead souls or whatever, is the main premise of that movie. So I think this is a good choice. And yeah, I can change it to supernatural from fantasy if I want to, and then I'm gonna go with fantasy, which I don't have it right now, but with Lord of the Rings and the Shadowscapes Tarot, just so we're not confusing people. But yeah, this was my very very late response, but I think it's still fun. I like combining things in this way, especially because it highlights holes in my collection that I want to, fill up because I want a good future and sci-fi oriented deck. I don't have that. And what was the other one? The thriller kind, that mind gamey deck. I would appreciate having one because I think I could, as an airhead, I would be able to work with it very well because I live my life pretty much in my head. So this was not just a fun tag, but for me it's very useful. So if you did it or if you're planning on doing, please do let me know so I can go and look it up. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, do that because comment down below because that helps my channel. But yeah, that's all. And thanks so much for watching. Thank you, Nancy, once again for creating the deck. And see you in the next one. Bye.